In those interviews, Bob Woodward repeatedly questioned the president, about the national reckoning on racial injustice. On June 3rd, 2 days after federal agents forcibly removed peaceful protesters from Lafayette Square to make way for Trump's stage photo op outside St. John's Church, Trump called Woodward to boast about his, quote, law and order stance. According to the Washington Post, he reportedly said, quote, we're going to get ready to send in the military/National Guard to some of these poor bastards that don't know what they're doing, these poor radical lefts. In another conversation on June 19th, Woodward asked the president about white privilege.
Let me ask you this. I mean, we share one thing in common. We're white privileged, my father was a lawyer and a judge in Illinois, and we know what your dad did. And do you have any sense that that privilege has isolated and put you in a cave to a certain extent, as it put me, and I think lots of white privileged people, in a cave, and that we have to work our way out of it to understand the anger and the pain particularly black people feel in this country?
No, you really drank the Kool-Aid, didn't you? Listen to you. Wow. No, I don't feel that at all.
During another conversation about race on July 8th, Trump complained about his lack of support among black voters. He said, quote, I've done a tremendous amount for the black community, and honestly, I'm not feeling any love. The two spoke again on June 22nd, more in depth on racism in America. Here is a portion of that discussion.
Do you think there is systematic or institutional racism in this country?
Well, I think there is everywhere. I think probably less here than most places, or less here than many places.
Okay, but is it here in a way that it has an impact on people's lives?
I think it is, and it's unfortunate, but I think it is.
Let's bring in the host of SiriusXM's The Joe Madison Show, Joe Madison. Good to have you on.
Joe, it's great to have you back. Thank you so much for being on the show. I'm curious what your thoughts are about what you heard yesterday on the Woodward tapes, especially regarding race.
Well, it's good to see you again, too, Joe. And the first thing that came to my mind is you had Bob Woodward, who expressed empathy. Not sympathy, but empathy. And what you had Donald Trump do in one paragraph, he actually was dismissive of Bob Woodward, and he turned out to be dismissive of, and I'll use Bob's title, the rage that African Americans are feeling and have expressed across this country. And this is also what's interesting is he contradicted his attorney general, who just, a week ago, I believe, said that systemic racism doesn't exist in the United States. So these guys are, are trying to fool us, and then they wonder why we are so suspicious of things like, let me give you an example. We are our last to get COVID-19 testing in our community. And then they now tell us we should be in front of the line to be guinea pigs for a trial. Now, it'll be a personal decision. But, one thing, black folks aren't stupid. And they can hear this clearly from what Donald Trump has said. But he clearly was dismissive. And if I were dismissive of you, you would tell me, Joe, show me some love. The reality is, how do you get love if you're dismissing people's rage?
Well, and Joe, we could talk specifically where the president dismissed Bob Woodward's suggestion about his privileged background as a white man who inherited the equivalent of $400 million. But, you know, as it pertains to black Americans, my God, all you have to do is talk about COVID and the lies about COVID, because it is black Americans, if you look at the numbers, who have suffered disproportionately because of this plague. It is black Americans on the front lines in so many jobs that we Americans depend on. It is black Americans on the front lines who got sick, who got to the hospital, who died, and now who are out of work because of all of those lies about COVID. I'm not exactly sure where the love should come from.
Well, it ought to come from first of all, being honest. That's the first thing. Look, we're twisting in the wind. This tape says it. The reality is, and by the way, you mentioned what your father said in reference to Richard Nixon. And as you were talking, Joe, there was one thing that was different, and that was the United States Senate. We do not have the same senators in office that we had back then when Richard Nixon was president and the tapes revealed. This Senate, I heard senators yesterday, I can't think of his name, from Louisiana, who just simply, it's another book, and they kept trying to say, but wait a minute, here's the audio tape. Well, I don't know, I haven't heard it. Well, here, let me play it again. It's a different Senate. These senators are part of Donald Trump's cult. There is no ifs, ands, buts about it. And if anybody has drank the Kool-Aid, it's the Republicans in the United States Senate.
You know,
Well
Joe
put.
Madison, that is such a great point, of
Well
course,
put.
because Republicans like Barry Goldwater went over to Richard Nixon after the tapes came out and told him that he had to go.
Sure.
And of course,
He didn't
we've
have
seen
the
no
votes,
senators
remember?
show that.
Yeah.
Didn't have the votes.
He told me,
Well-
you did not have the votes. It's either
No.
you resign or you're going to be impeached. No, I'm sorry, you're going to be impeached and found guilty. We forget he wasn't. Trump has been impeached.
Right. All right. Joe Madison, as always, it's great to talk to
Thank
you.
you.
And thank you for coming on. I know there's always a conflict with your show, so we're really appreciative that you were able to make it this morning. It's great to
Thank
see you
you.
again, buddy.
There are two morning Joes. So
Exactly. Exactly. You're the real morning Joe, Joe Madison. Thank you so much. And Willie Geist. Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.